Hello everybody, hello children, I'm Sam and welcome to this online field trip. Today we're in Lincolnshire, which is in the East Midlands, and this area is very rural. In fact, it has some of the most fertile land in the UK, which makes it great for growing vegetables and crops. And today we're at a farm that grows a particular vegetable we're going to learn about today, broccoli. Now this is Mark, he's our guide for today. Hello Mark, so you grow a couple of types of broccoli here, don't you?
That's right, Sam. We grow this one here, which is the Calabrese broccoli, great big head look. And we also grow this one, which is the purple sprouting broccoli, a lot smaller head. There we are.
Very pretty, very nice. So what are we going to see here today in the field?
Today we're going to see how we grow it in the field. We're going to see how we move it from field to fork, and then we're going to talk a little bit about the nutrition involved with broccoli and how nice it is to eat.
Fantastic, so the whole process.
Absolutely.
That's great. So let's meet our schools that we have with us today who are taking part. Let's go over to Bishop's Primary School in Newquay, where Mr Cornish's class is taking part again. Hello children, hello Mr Cornish. Fantastic. Let's go over to Moorside Primary School in Manchester, where Miss Goodman's class is taking part. Hello children.
Hi.
Hello Miss Goodman. And finally, let's go over to Nesfield Primary in Keighley, where Miss O'Hara's class is taking part. Hello children. Fantastic stuff. Well, it's great having you with us today and learning all about broccoli. Now, I know a lot of you are going to be learning and celebrating Harvest Festival in the next couple of weeks in your classrooms. We are going to learn lots about harvesting today because the harvesting is going to be taking place, isn't it, Mark?
Absolutely, we're harvesting today.
We're going to see the actual machine that picks the broccoli, so that's going to be really exciting. So that's later on in the lesson. First of all, though, let's learn a little bit more about Mark. So, Mark, how long have you been farming for?
Well, I've been growing vegetables now for over 20 years. I'm the third generation of our family who've been farming since the 1940s, so what's that now, 70 odd years.
Great. So how long have you been doing broccoli for?
Broccoli, we've been doing the large head broccoli, the Calabrese, since the 1980s, so 30 plus years, and the smaller purple sprouting I should say, for about 12 years now.
Great, so you do know everything there is to know about broccoli.
Maybe.
So what family of vegetables does broccoli come from?
Well, broccoli comes from the Brassica family, which is the name. The name actually means flowering. So the broccoli, if it's allowed to grow on, will flower. So that's why they're given that name.
Brassicas. So these are all brassicas, I understand, yes. Here, which is just an array of amazing vegetables. So
Absolutely.
could you talk us through some of them?
Of course, yeah. I mean, if we start here, we've got the pointed cabbage. Underneath we've got the leafy one, which is the spring cabbage. Then moving along, we've got green cabbage. And we've got this unusual one here called kohlrabi.
That is a really unusual one, isn't it?
It's relatively new to us.
Okay, so many of our children won't have tried it yet.
That's right. And we've got Brussels sprouts, of course, every child's favourite.
Yup, especially at Christmas time.
And traditional cauliflower. And then we've got three other types of cauliflower here. We've got an orange one.
These are amazing.
We've got a purple one. And we've got a spiky green one. That's called a Romanesco cauliflower.
Wow, so how do you get these orange and purple?
These are all bred through selecting varieties in the fields. One that will be a little bit yellow and we'll grow it again and it'll become more orange and more orange every year. And eventually we'll get the colour we require.
That is fascinating. That's my ambition now. I want to try some of these broccolis. They're absolutely lovely. But of course we are just focusing on broccoli, so it's great to see all these vegetables today. I know a lot of you have already been learning about broccoli in your classrooms as well, and I know for sure that Mr Cornish's class have already learnt a lot about broccoli. So let's go over to the Bishop's Primary School now and get some facts from the children there. So Mr Cornish, who do you have for us with some facts?
Here we go.
My name is Kaylee and my fact is that broccoli is in the cabbage family.
That's a really good fact. So Mark, the broccoli is in the cabbage family.
That's right.
Is that right? It's the same family.
Same family, the Brassica family.
The brassicas. That's a great fact, Kaylee. Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Harry and broccoli comes from Italy.
Great. Does broccoli come from Italy? Is that where it comes
That's
from?
right, broccoli originates in Italy. That's a great fact, well done.
You really have been learning lots about broccoli. Let's find out a little bit more about where we are, because as I said at the start, we're in Lincolnshire. So why is Lincolnshire so good for growing broccoli, Mark?
Well, Lincolnshire is fantastic because it has the silty type soil, lovely soil. The soil's like this because thousands of years ago this all used to be covered by the sea, and as the sea retreated it left this beautiful soil with all the nutrients that are required to grow good broccoli.
Fantastic. And what about the climate and the conditions we need? Do we need lots of rain?
We need a nice amount of rain, not too much, not too little, and we need temperatures about 8 to 25 degrees is perfect for broccoli. A day like today, fantastic.
It's gorgeous. The sun has come out for us today, so it's
always sunny
actually
in
really
Lincolnshire.
lovely. And what's happening on the farm at the moment?
At the moment, I mean, we've now finished planting broccoli for the year. We've finished in at the end of July, and it's all about harvesting now. Harvest until the end of November.
Fantastic. And how much do you harvest each week?
Each week we'll, for the larger heads here, we'll harvest over 1 million heads a week.
1 million of
1 million.
bees a week.
That's right.
That's a lot of people
It
and
is
a lot of machines.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And where do they go then?
The broccoli goes to the supermarkets in various formats, as florets like this,
Yeah.
in bags, or as whole pieces like this, or some smaller bits will go to freezing.
Okay. And obviously we grow them here in the UK. Is there anywhere else in the world that grows broccoli?
Yeah, broccoli is grown throughout the world. Anywhere with a similar sort of climate to this and good nutritious soil is perfect for broccoli. So the largest producer is China.
Wow, didn't know that one.
There's a lot of broccoli grown in India, and there's also a lot of broccoli grown in southern Europe. I mean, we use southern Europe in the winter. When we can't grow broccoli here, it comes from southern Europe where it's nice and warm.
They have better weather over there.
That's
Do you get
right.
to go over there?
No.
Oh, damn. Okay, it's time for our first video now, and this is all about how broccoli grows. Watch really carefully, because there'll be a chance to ask Mark some questions later on in the lesson.
How does broccoli grow? There are two main types of broccoli grown on this farm: crowns and purple sprouting. Both are grown from a seed. Broccoli crowns grow all through the warmer spring and summer months because they don't like cold weather conditions, unlike purple sprouting broccoli, which thrives in colder weather. To grow both types of broccoli, the seeds are first planted in these trays, along with some fertile compost. The seeds are then taken to a specially heated greenhouse, where they will grow into small broccoli plants over the winter. The seeds are watered regularly. The trays are raised off the ground to allow the water to drain through, as too much water isn't good for the plants. Then all the broccoli plants need is sunshine to help them grow. Both purple sprouting and broccoli crowns have to be kept in the greenhouse until spring, as it is too cold in the fields for them to grow. About 3 months later, when the plants are strong enough and the weather is a little warmer, the broccoli is ready to be planted outside. At this farm, an amazing 35 million individual broccoli plants are grown each year. Before they are planted, the soil needs to be prepared to provide the broccoli with the best conditions to grow. The farmer uses this big tractor to turn over the soil and adds fertilizer to make it good and rich. The baby broccoli plants are dropped into the ground and then secured in the soil with the help of this clever planting machine. They need to leave plenty of space between each one to give the broccoli room to grow into a mature and healthy plant. Broccoli needs plenty of water to grow. In this country, we get just enough rain to keep the soil wet. The broccoli plants use their roots to get the water from the damp soil. When you eat broccoli, you are eating the bud of the plant. If the broccoli wasn't harvested, it would eventually turn into a yellow flower. At the seed house, they let the broccoli buds turn into flowers on purpose, so the flowers will eventually produce seeds. They use these seeds for next year's production.
Fascinating stuff. As you can see, we've moved into the fields where all the broccoli is growing, and you can probably hear and see behind me that there's amazing machinery that's coming along. It's actually harvesting the broccoli as we speak. So when it gets here, we're going to have a closer look at how it does that. But first of all, Mark, what are we surrounded by here? One particular type of broccoli?
That's right, so I'm in here. This whole field is the Calabrese type broccoli. So the great big heads, look, one head per plant, and that's what they're harvesting today.
Fantastic. And so when was this planted?
This was planted in early July, and the plants were like that. when they were
Wow,
planted, and
that's
they've grown
crazy.
from that to that in that short space of time.
Obviously had the right conditions. We've had a
Perfect.
good summer for it,
That's
haven't
right.
we? And so how much have we got here in the fields? Because it's a huge
This
field.
is a very big field, yes. I mean, this field is 65 acres, and an acre is the size of a football pitch. So just imagine how big that is.
65 football
65
pitches
football pitches.
full of broccoli.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of broccoli.
It's about 800,000 heads of broccoli
800,000 heads of
in
broccoli.
one field.
All for us to eat, children.
That's
That's
right.
great. So are you harvesting the whole field at the moment?
Yes, we're just continually going across the field and harvesting as they come ready.
Oh, okay. So you plant in stages,
Planting stages.
so you don't have to panic and then
That's
get
right,
them all
yeah.
up at the same time.
Correct.
Okay, so this amazing machine is coming up behind us. Do you have one of these machines that's doing the job, or do you have quite a
We'll
few?
be very busy with one.
Yes.
We've actually got 36 of these harvesting machines
Wow.
that are constantly harvesting cauliflowers or broccoli or cabbage all the time.
Wow. So how do they work, the machines?
How do they work? Well, the cutting men are at the front. and
Yeah.
they're looking at every piece of broccoli, checking the size, checking for defects,
Yeah.
and they're cutting it with a knife, making sure the stalk length is correct.
Okay.
And they put them in the yellow cups behind them, and then they go round the cups and up to the back of the trailer where they're packed into trays ready to go back to the yard.
Great. I'll tell you what, I would love to put a bit of do my broccoli and put it into one of those yellow trays and let it go up the conveyor belt. Can I do that? Can
course
we
you
go
can.
and take a closer look at the machine? Here we go. Wow, so it very much is a hands-on process, isn't it? Hello! Hello everybody! They're working hard here. So can I put a piece of
course
broccoli
you
in
can.
the thing? I'm just a big kid really.
There you go.
There we go. Okay, so it goes in any way.
Find an empty one.
All right.
that's it.
There we go. Goodbye, broccoli. It's like being at the fun fair, isn't it? That's great. So it goes around and goes in there.
That's it, all the way to the back,
That's
and then it's packed into a
fascinating.
tray.
That is fascinating. And how much could you pick in a day with one machine?
I would say on a good day you'll get 1,000 trays and about 20 broccoli heads in a tray, so that's 20,000 trays a day.
That is a lot of
one
broccoli.
machine.
I'm guessing without the machine it would be a lot harder.
Oh yes.
It'd be a lot harder. I'm asking you all the questions, so I think we should let our children, let our schools ask you a few questions.
Okay.
So can we cut the engine?
We can.
Oh, silence. Okay, let's go over to our first school. Let's go to Moorside Primary School. Do we have anybody who has a question for Mark?
Yes, Grace, do you want to go and ask your question?
Hi, my name's Grace. And what is your favourite type of vegetable to eat and grow?
Fascinating. That's a really, really good question. What is your type of your favourite vegetable to eat
My
and grow?
favourite
Yes.
Oh, blimey. Believe it or not, I love Brussels sprouts.
Do you?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Charlie?
How long do you have to work each day? When do you get up?
That's a really good question. I want to know that one too as well. When do you get up? How long do you work?
Oh, do I get up in the morning? I get up at about 5:30 in the morning.
Most farmers do get
Most
up
farmers
quite
do, yeah.
early,
Yeah,
don't they?
very
And do
early.
you finish early or is it a really long
I
day?
normally finish about 6 o'clock at night.
Okay.
So it's a fairly long day.
And early to bed?
Oh yes.
Okay, let's get another question. That was a great one.
Amy, want to ask you a question?
How long does it take to grow broccoli?
That's a really good question. How long does it take for you to grow broccoli?
Once you've planted them in the field, depending on what time of year you plant it, when it's colder obviously it takes longer. Normally about 90 days is the average, I would say.
Great. Could you grow broccoli at home? Is it easy enough?
Oh
or
yeah,
do
it's
we...
easy enough
Oh.
to grow at home, yeah.
Okay, maybe we could give that one a go. Do we have another question? The last question from Moorside Primary?
To Kira.
Why did you decide to be a farmer?
That's a really good question. I'd like to know this, Mark. Why did you decide to be a farmer?
Why did I? Well, as I
No
said-
choice.
No choice. As I said earlier, all my family have been involved in farming for generations. So when you grow up with it and it's kind of in your blood really, and
A nice way of life?
It's nice to be out when it's nice, but then again, you're outside when it's not nice. So.
Yeah, that's great. Really great questions from Moorside Primary School. Thank you so much. Let's go over to Nessfield Primary School now and get some questions from the children there. Miss O'Hara, do you have any questions?
Yes, Alex, yes we are. Why isn't broccoli grown in Yorkshire?
That's a really good question. Why isn't broccoli grown in Yorkshire?
In Yorkshire?
Particularly?
I would think the main reason would be that the land is not quite as nutritious as it is here in Lincolnshire. I would say it gets colder quicker in Yorkshire in the winter than it does in Lincolnshire.
That's probably why. Great question. Do we have another one for Mark?
Why do you eat broccoli before it turns into a flower?
That's a really good question. Why do we eat broccoli before it turns into a flower? Or is it the other way around?
I think we eat it before it turns into, because all these small beads that you can see will turn into a flower eventually. I think it would just be a little bit too chewy, to be perfectly honest.
I wonder whether somebody's left it too long and tried to eat it. That's a really great question, though. They do turn into flowers eventually. Right, let's get another question for Mark.
Why is it traditional to have Brussels sprouts at Christmas?
That's a really great question. Why is it traditional to have Brussels sprouts at Christmas, Mark?
I think traditionally it was one of the main vegetables that was available at Christmas time. Obviously now you can buy vegetables all around the year of all different types, but I think in the days before we brought in vegetables from abroad, I think the sprouts were one of the main ones available in this country.
That's it. Christmas dinner wouldn't be the same without a Brussels sprout,
right.
would it really? You have to, even if you don't like them, you have to have one, don't you?
Absolutely.
That's great. Do we have another final question for Mark?
What is the difference between purple and green broccoli?
That's a really good question. So what's the difference between purple and green broccoli, Mark?
It's just, it's the same as the cauliflower, it's just been bred to be a different colour. It's a presentation thing really. The taste is not really any different. It just looks nice on your plate. A red piece of broccoli or a green one, whichever you may choose. Really, it's just choice.
Yeah, it's nice to go for a bit of colour.
That's right.
It
yeah.
zhuzhes up your plate a little bit, doesn't it? They are great questions. Thank you so much, children. Now, Mark, we've learned a lot about how broccoli grows and how it's harvested, but we are a long way away from a local store here. So I'm guessing the work isn't done as soon as you've harvested the broccoli, is it?
No, Sam. We've only just started the process here. Once the trailer is full on the back that you can see there, it'll be sent to the yard as quick as possible into the coolers, and it'll be taken down to a low temperature to keep it nice and fresh.
So it's a bit of a race against time, just to
it certainly is,
get it to the table nice and fresh. Well, let's watch this race against time now. This is all about how the broccoli gets from this field where Mark and I are standing now to your fork.
Broccoli, from picking to packing. Broccoli crowns can be harvested from June to the beginning of November. Purple sprouting can be harvested from mid-June to the end of April. When the purple sprouting broccoli is harvested, it's trimmed, packed, weighed, and wrapped in the field on a mobile sorting line. Broccoli crowns are processed differently to purple sprouting because the farm grows too much to process in the field. The farmers wait for the broccoli crowns to be the right size before they begin the harvest. A tractor is driven carefully through the field. The picking team walk behind, and using a sharp knife like this, they harvest the broccoli by hand. The broccoli crowns are cut from the stalk. Any leaves are stripped off, and the heads are put into bins like these. The team can pick 100 tons of broccoli crowns in one day. That's the same weight as a blue whale. Now the broccoli crowns are ready to go to the pack house.
Broccoli, all fresh and green. Yummy and green like a tiny tree.
Once the broccoli crowns have been picked, they are taken straight from the field to be cooled quickly in large chillers. If the broccoli isn't cooled down straight away, it could start to turn yellow very quickly. Next, the packhouse team trims the stalks, checks the weight, and places it on a fast-moving packing line, ready for this machine to individually wrap. This shrink-wrapping machine puts the broccoli into a perforated poly bag, which then passes through a heat tunnel at over 140 degrees Celsius. The broccoli is only inside the heat tunnel for about 10 seconds, so it doesn't increase its core temperature. Each machine can wrap 50 heads per minute. This factory can wrap a whopping 250,000 broccoli crowns every day. When both types of broccoli are packed, labelled and chilled, they are ready for the final part of their journey, and within 48 hours it could be on a shelf in your local store.
Wow, so 250,000 broccoli crowns per day. That is crazy, Mark.
It's a lot to get through, it really is.
That is a lot of broccoli. Well, we're learning all sorts about broccoli, how it grows in the field, how it's harvested, and then how it gets from the farm to the fork. But I think it's about time we looked at how we cook and enjoy broccoli, Mark. So how do you eat your broccoli?
The best way to eat broccoli, I always think, is just chop it up into florets like this and then stir fry it quickly. Keep it nice and crunchy. And it's delicious.
Because nice flash in the pan, and
Flash
it keeps
in the
all
pan,
the
that's
nutrients, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But of course, because like broccoli is known as a superfood. You hear that superfood word sort of bandied around, but as far as we know, you're not going to become a superhero. There's no superpowers if you eat broccoli, but it is really good for you and it is really nutritious. Just a couple of these, so a couple of these florets, about that size, is one of your fruit and veg a day, so just quite a small portion of broccoli. It's also a really good source of vitamin K, which is good for your blood, and a good source of vitamin C as well, which is good for your bones. So I mean, that's pretty super to me.
It sounds it to me as well.
What's the best way to cook broccoli if you just want to keep the goodness in? I'm guessing boiling it for a long time is not going to help, is it?
Boiling is probably the worst thing you can do to broccoli, really.
Really?
All the goodness disappears. If you're going to do that, you're better off steaming it or stir frying it, as we said, or even eating it raw with salad or...
Yeah, if you put like a little bit of salad dressing and maybe
That's
a few
right.
seeds or something, it could be really good.
Yeah.
Really good. I wonder how our children eat their broccoli. Okay, we're coming to the end of today's lesson, unfortunately. We have learnt so much. Thank you so much, Mark. We've just got enough time just to go over to our schools, though, and find out what you have learnt on today's lesson. So let's go over to Miss Goodman's class.
My name is Caden. We have learned that broccoli can be grown in different colours, and broccoli is packed by a machine, not by people.
That's a really, really good fact that they've learnt today. So it's grown in different colours and it's packed by a machine.
That's right, yes.
Really good. Okay, let's go over to our final school, Nestfield Primary. Let's find out what Miss O'Hara's class has learnt today.
I never knew that broccoli was harvested by hand. I thought a machine did it.
That's a really good fact as well. So they've learnt that the broccoli is harvested by a machine and not by hand.
50-50. Hand and machine.
Exactly. One without the other. It'd be a long process by hand.
That's right.
But then with the machine, maybe the broccoli would get damaged.
That's correct, yeah.
Great. So it's a bit of teamwork between the machine and the guys that you saw just then. How great. So I hope you've enjoyed today's online field trip. Don't forget, if you'd like to join in another one of these online field trips, you can get all the information on the website. And also, if you'd like to visit a farm like this or a producer, you can do that. You can come to this farm and learn even more about broccoli if you don't know everything already. Then do get in touch. Everything you need is on the website. It's really fun. Just look at the children that you can see on screen right now having a great time, just getting stuck in. So from myself and Mark, though, it's goodbye from the broccoli fields. Goodbye, everybody. We hope you've really enjoyed learning all about broccoli. Goodbye, the Bishop's Primary School. Goodbye, Moorside Primary. We hope you've enjoyed it. And goodbye, Nestfield Primary School. Thank you so much, Miss O'Hara's class. Bye, everybody. Enjoy your broccoli tonight.